For many people who live on the island where the plane crashed, this is the only way to get there. They've been lining up here at the ferry terminal all day, waiting for a ride to get back home. Thank you for protecting our city. Come home safe. Thank you, first responders. Dozens of these signs for the firefighters who've been working around the clock to try to save homes. But a few of them did express some reservations, wondering if airlines might pull back demand for the very popular 737, and then what would that mean for jobs in the long run? Imagine if you were to take an entire city of people and all the walks of life and then put them all in one space and figure out what all their needs are. That's exactly what's going on behind me as people line up. Roads are sometimes a helpful barrier to stop the flames. Not today. Strong winds are pushing the fire southeast of Omak, where it's consumed even more homes. Just before we went on air, a man walking past was talking to a police officer over here, and he said, "I've never seen the Strip so somber." They were the lucky ones who were able to talk about how their son is recovering, he's conscious, he's able to talk to them. But just down the street at a hotel, it has been a much more anguished scene.
Our second exclusive tonight involves the plane stolen by a Horizon Air employee that crashed on Ketron Island. As King 5's Ted Land found out, the family who owns the property says a month after that fiery crash, they are still left with a mess and also misunderstandings about who's responsible for cleaning it all up.
4 times a day, a ferry churns toward Ketron Island, a remote thumb of forest tucked in a corner of Puget Sound. Population 17.
This is complete isolation. It's solitude.
Tiffany Lundgren has been coming here since she was a child. Her dad bought a bunch of property in the 70s, and this has always been a quiet getaway.
Sunrise, sunset, it literally is the most gorgeous, in my opinion, it's the most gorgeous piece of Ketron Island. Or was.
Today, that pristine escape is littered with shards of a commercial airplane.
It's everywhere.
Lundgren's childhood playground became the final resting place for thousands of pieces of a stolen Horizon Air Q400 plane, which slammed into the woods in August. Salvage crews cleared out the big pieces several weeks ago, but today it's not hard to find plenty of reminders of what happened here.
Oh my God. Look at that. Are you kidding me?
Lundgren is frustrated that the plane's owner, Alaska Airlines, is taking so long to finish cleanup, and she says they have not done a good job of explaining their next steps.
They've had my number, they've had my email. I haven't heard from them. I had to reach out to them.
King 5 reached out to Alaska as well, explaining Lundgren's concerns, and within hours the airline responded. While visiting Lundgren's property, I showed her Alaska's statement on my cell phone, outlining the company's plans to clean up and restore the property, including planting new trees.
It's very encouraging. Now I just hope they follow through with it.
To a first-time observer, this may seem like an unremarkable clearing.
Everywhere there's pieces of wire.
But to her, it's a wound on a place that's meant a lot to her family.
Oh, there's the memorial.
And is now a sacred site for another family. Someone recently left this small memorial for Richard Russell, the Horizon employee who stole the plane and took the final flight.
It just makes me sad for everybody involved.
It's quiet once more on Ketron Island, but scars remain.
It was like the magical hidden forest. So to walk onto here now, it's just sad.
Ted Land, King 5 News.
This is what recovery and generosity looks like. A new shirt, a pair of shoes. Donation centers like this are helping evacuees get through the first few days after losing almost everything.
In a field of generosity,
Do you like that house?
Ingrid Peach and her granddaughter Isabella began piecing life back together.
Do you like this house better?
It's overwhelming. For me, it's overwhelming. I don't even know where to start.
Peach, who lost her home in Paradise, has 1,000 questions. Where should she eat? Where will she stay? Will she dread returning to her block?
Yes, but I will have my family with me. To be with me and then look at it together. Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy to see. I lived there for 30 years.
Today she's only thinking about collecting a few items of clothing among a sea of donations stacked outside the Chico Elks Lodge. Her story is like thousands of others in Butte County, where life is on hold.
Now I'm taking it 1 hour at a time.
Renata Stepro, the lunch lady at the school in Concow, was trying not to think about her 2 donkeys, dogs, and roosters in the ashes of her home.
Are they making it up today?
But then her phone rang. And a stranger on the other end of the line delivered some much-needed good news about her animals.
Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you.
An animal rescue team plans to head up to her property today or tomorrow.
I'm thrilled right now. That made my day. Yeah, that makes me happy.
Who knows what tonight will bring?
It gives me hope.
Right now, there's something to hold on to.
It does give me hope.
At noon, all across Seattle, projects pause, coolers crack open, and workers relish a midday breather. But today's lunch break felt much different.
Sadness, you know? What could we do better on the next one?
Jimmy Hester's one of the workers who set down their wrenches and gathered at the corner of Fairview and Mercer to reflect on what happened last weekend.
And just hopefully, show some love to everybody that was involved.
The crane that collapsed here crushed a building, killed 4 people, and shook the tight-knit community of union workers who labor in a world full of dangers.
As soon as I seen the news feed on Saturday, it made my heart just drop.
A procession soon arrived and marched to the median, just steps from where the crane crashed down. They laid a metal cross with hard hats honoring Andrew Yoder and Travis Corbett, the 2 iron workers who died. Both men were veterans, and others who served left flags for their fallen brothers.
Flowers are being placed in memory of Alan Justed and Sarah Long.
A pair of bouquets honored the 2 people killed while driving past. In an industry where there's very little room for error, this was a reminder of what they dread each time they clock in for a shift. As the lunch hour drew to a close, they wiped away tears, said one last prayer, and went back to work. Ted Land, King 5 News.
5753 cell tower.
On a busy morning at SeaTac Airport, airlines hurry to stay on time. But at gate C9, everything slows down.
Sorry for your loss. Thank you very much.
Susan Woods is sending off her husband of 37 years, Sergeant Major James Tony Woods, an Army veteran who fought in Vietnam and retired in Olympia. Woods died in April and asked that he be laid to rest near the nation's capital.
He wanted to be buried in Arlington, and as the recipient of the Silver Star, he was more than eligible to be buried in Arlington.
We're going to go ahead and start boarding.
A Puget Sound honor flight happened to be heading that way, carrying dozens of vets to visit monuments and memorials. With just a few days' notice, Alaska Airlines activated a company-wide program designed to ensure military families like the Woods are treated with the utmost respect. It's a growing effort, driven primarily by the workers who keep this carrier moving.
As soon as the airline gets the call to transport a fallen service member's remains, a brigade of volunteers and employees, many of them veterans, mobilizes to provide a final, dignified journey.
My name is Dan. I work for Alaska Airlines, and I'm part of the Fallen Soldier program.
Dan Brosh is an LA-based maintenance trainer. In 2011, he and other workers approached their managers with a concern. The company should show more respect when transporting military members who died.
Unfortunately, all air carriers were handling the remains of fallen veterans like cargo. No longer is that the case with Alaska Airlines and other airlines.
The bosses listened, and today the Alaska Airlines Fallen Soldier program includes special protocols and equipment stationed in an expanding list of cities.
How you doing? Thank you for being here.
In Phoenix last week, Brosh and his team handed over a custom cart, specifically for carrying flag-draped caskets.
All right, let it roll.
This is cart number 10. Others are on standby at airports across the country, and that's just one layer of the program. The airline now has 2 military-themed jets, which it reroutes, sometimes at a moment's notice, to carry veterans and their families.
It's no simple task, but they do it every single time. And if they don't, it's because it's almost impossible to do.
During loading and unloading, baggage handlers and maintenance workers become pallbearers.
I did not know about this until we actually had to experience on our own.
Julia Schmidtke, an Alaska flight attendant from Tacoma, understands how much all this means to families in a fog of grief. Her son, 25-year-old Army Specialist Hunter Schmidtke, died last year, and her airline colleagues stood at attention at SeaTac to bring Hunter home.
It heals you. It heals you as you're going through the hardest time you can ever imagine.
This way, just a smidge.
Employees who participate in the Fallen Soldier program do so on their own time.
Does that get it?
Yep. And they want to do more. They have a goal of building a fallen soldier cart for every airport Alaska serves.
Hey, that looks good, fellas.
These represent a rare part of the ultra-competitive industry where rivalry is set aside. Alaska says any airline can use its carts. Back in Seattle, it's the moment they've so carefully planned.
Can I step up to it? I'll see you soon, dear.
Susan Woods will join her husband at Arlington National Cemetery for a ceremony next month. For a few minutes, a corner of SeaTac stood still, and the honors came early.
He got more than he asked for here. A lot more.
Ted Land, King 5 News.